The soul is here for its own joy. There's a difference between pleasure and joy. Pleasure offers experiences from all the senses. It's fleeting. It comes, it goes, it comes, it goes. To hold on to that is foolish. Now, the difference between pleasure and joy is joy comes from the space that is never ending, has never been born, and never dies. It's the true space of who we are. I'm going to speak for a few minutes, but before I speak, I'm going to share with you some great books that I have read and I've enjoyed so much. So let's go through these a little bit. I realize the writing is probably backwards on here, so I'll speak them very clearly so you can write down the names of them. So the first book that I come to a lot is something called The Soul is Here for Its Own Joy. I got this from my uncle. He had passed away, and I went into his giant, beautiful apartment and looked around at everything, and this is pretty much all I took. Maybe in a couple of CDs also. So it's called The Soul is Here for Its Own Joy, Sacred Poems from Many Cultures by Robert Bly. Robert Bly. You can open this book to any section and read a poem, and it provides the answer you're looking for. I love doing this. That's the first book. Another book that I turn to all the time is something called Be As You Are. Be As You Are, The Teachings of Ramana Maharshi. This one's a very easy read, and it's just dialogues with him, teaching about finding the true self and living as the true self. So it's called Be As You Are, The Teachings of Ramana Maharshi, and the cover looks like this. I've really enjoyed this one a lot. I turn to it a lot. On a deeper level, there was a writer a long time ago, in 1958 to 1974, he was a scientist, and he wrote under a pen name called Wei Wu Wei. Wei Wu Wei, Weiwuwei. And he wrote a book called The Open Secret. This is a very heavy read, but you can oftentimes find something in here that just allows you to dive in and unfold the ingredient of who you are. So you can taste each and every spice. It's absolutely beautiful. On a more mental level, there's a guy named Adyashanti, and he has a book called The End of Your World. This is just a very light read. And he goes over in this book, he talks about what it's like when it's realized that your truth is not a separate you, that your truth is just an open presence appearing as everything. And he talks about what happens with the mind and what happens with life and how to live in that. And so I find this to be kind of like a nice little helpful book. He has some interesting pieces in it. It's not really spoken from the place of pure presence. It's just spoken from a place of watching this open presence appear and how to live as that. And then if you get into Zen, deep Zen, and if you were to go to the best Zen master at the top of the mountain, and you were to say to him, teach me the final truth. What is the final truth of everything? Show it to me. It's something called Dzogchen. And this is a book by Jackson Peterson, and it's called The Natural Bliss of Being. And it's a Dzogchen book where he just speaks a lot about this undivided presence and what it is, and he goes through the chakras. Beautiful pieces in here. And he also integrates Reiki and healing and other forms of mystical healings into it, which I like. I like that a lot. Then there is one of the, I think one of the students of Ramana Maharshi was a gentleman, and I might be wrong about this. His name is Nisargadatta. And he had a book which is called I Am That. I Am That, Nisargadatta. It's a very deep, beautiful book which just keeps pointing you back to what and who we are, what our true presence is. And there's lots of little pointers and answers in here on how to see, how to live. It's 500 pages, and a lot of it are just straight dialogue, questions, answers, so it feels like you're in the room. There's another one that I got too called Pointers from Nisargadatta. And I like this one because this is a summary of the lectures that he was given, but it was written from somebody who was there, and they would describe how he was setting up the lectures, what the room was like, who the people were, how they came in with the issues and the questions, and then how he solved them. So it's kind of like watching him teach, and this was a whole different way of reading this, and I really liked it because it kind of, oh, here's the scene, this is what this was. So it's called Pointers from Nisargadatta. I definitely encourage you to read that one. Then we go into something else, which is a little bit different, but I did find this book. This one became very challenging, but I keep coming back to it. I'm not finished reading it yet. It's called What is Self? It's by Bernadette Roberts. What is Self by Bernadette Roberts, and she is a Christian mystic. So she takes Christianity and takes a look at the mysticism of it. And who are we? And the only thing that I found about this book is it's very deep and very beautiful the way it unfolds as you read it. But her term of self going back and forth, self being a mic or self being the boundless self, which one is it? I found that to be beautiful, but a little confusing at times. So I will honestly say I have to get back to this one. Then we get into 3 other books which have blown my mind. And I'm going to have to pause for a second. Okay, I'm back. So there's 3 other books that I came across lately that have really opened up more. And our awareness is a process. It is a process. You peak, accept, you peak and accept. It's almost like going to a buffet and you keep trying different things and, oh, this one fills me. This one fills me. And then you start realizing that all of them are glorious tastings. So here's a book called, these are the 3 books that I really go to all the time right now. This one is called The Radiant Sutras, and it's by Lauren Roche, PhD, The Radiant Sutras. And what these are, each of these is just an individual short sutra that sweeps the mind, completely sweeps the mind. Here's an example. With one sweep of attention, gather in the whole universe and remember it as your body of bliss. There's poetry, there's beauty, and then when this takes place, you read these. Within one sweep of attention, gather in the whole universe and remember it as your body of bliss. This clears you out. I love this book because it's a short read. If you have a few minutes, you say, okay, let's go into this. And you read one and go, wow, who am I now? What's here? Beautiful. Then I went, after I read that, I then went into This book, Bhagavad Gita, the Bhagavad Gita, which is famous. And this one has been put together by Stephen Mitchell. And it is the original version, but it's been translated. And you get to read through it and learn about how to, again, bring awareness of presence into your life. How to live as this on a regular basis. And I read it once. I'm going back through it again, and every time I go through it, I find something new. A simple line. You can just get lost in some of these lines. And it's a conversation too. Beautiful piece of work. And then this takes me to the very last book that I'm now entrenched in also. And this one is the Upanishads. The Upanishads. Now this guy here, Eknath Easwaran. Okay? So if you look up the Upanishads on, I don't know, Amazon or something, or go into a bookstore, this gentleman has written and put together this book, another one which is Buddhist text, and another one which is the Gita, and put them into nice formats too, so you can buy all three of them. This book, I've read it once. I'm going through my second version of reading it again. I'll probably read it 3 or 4 more times. It's just pieces of old text. This book was probably written, they're saying 1,000 to 2,000 years BC. Okay. This one was probably written somewhere around 800 BC. And this one is probably 500 BC. So the teachers that we hear today, which could be Rupert Spira, or it could be even Ramana Maharshi, Papaji, any of these teachers, all of their language and everything that they're speaking and portraying to you comes from these books. These are the sources where they got their inspiration. That's what I'm betting. I may be wrong about that, but that surely seems to be what's taking place there. This book, again, like most other, one line, you can read it and go, wow, that is so powerful, so beautiful. And you'll find that it's very helpful. So, and then the very last book is the one I wrote, Opening Home. So if I'll put my email address on the bottom of this. If you want to write to me any questions about this video, you can, or if you want to know where to find this book, I'll post that on there too. I think it's on the book page. But this is a nice little workbook on just what is presence, what is self. Let's take a look at who we are. I enjoyed writing this immensely. So this is a summary of just some amazing books. With that, I want to take a few moments here and really kind of share with you where we are right now as a society and as humans in this world that is changing. And what most of us have found is that what we have locked into has changed. And what we believe has changed. And what we hold on to and say, oh, well, this is truth in life has changed. Hold on to one thing and it'll move down the river to something else. What that leaves us with is where we say, well, then what is it that's real truth? And what is it that never changes? And where can I trust and where can I plant my feet? Your answer is going to be from some of these sources. That is it. That has always been it. So it's a matter of first looking into and saying, this presence that is there, at first it's, I'm watching this presence. There it is. Wow, that's beautiful. I can sit in it for a little while. Then all of a sudden it'll be like, well, wait a second. This presence is now appearing. I'm walking down the street and what is there? There's just a presence appearing. Okay, is the presence the tree also? It is the tree. How do you know? What does it look like being the tree? It's just it just somehow threads through the tree. It threads through the building also. It's threading through everything. There is a stillness appearing as everything. You say, well, is that stillness you also? It is and it isn't. And it actually is. So then this next level is we start seeing it like that. And then the mind starts wanting to find it. Let's find more. Let's look for more. Is it always there? Then you might find yourself going to sleep at night and you watch yourself sleeping. The dreams and everything and thoughts become this open presence, this field of love. And that's really what we are. And then you might find yourself saying, well, then what's there to do? Everything is this. You say, well, hold on. Everything is this. What do we do with that? What do we do with that if everything is this? You say, well, then I don't have to do anything. You say, well, hold on a minute. Let's take a look at this. Let's relax ourselves. If everything is this, if everything is just this open peace and grace and presence, then that argument you had yesterday with that clerk in 7-Eleven over the muffin. And you left there so angry and you made a scene and it was all because you were hurting. All of that was it also. It was still a presence appearing as that. Wow, wait a second, you're right. And then when you went home and you sat and you thought to yourself, I am not good. I am not happy. And you thought to yourself, I feel alone in this world and I don't feel like I am anything. I feel like a failure. Even those thoughts are it. Are those thoughts, can those thoughts be? They are. Yeah, because what was illuminating those thoughts? What was illuminating them? You're right. You're right. Something was illuminating them. And how far did that illumination go? It was the thoughts too. The thoughts are made of that same illuminated presence of light, being. So now what needs to be done? Nothing. All of this unfolds. The healing will unfold because the presence will start filling up, and going through and coloring and clearing out all of those amazing experiences that took place. And were you ever touched in those experiences? No. Never. Your being has always been full, whole, complete the entire time. Never touched. This, here, this, what is here now, is never touched. So we first look, then we see, and then we integrate. And then after integrating, it's realized there's no you. There's never been a you. Go back to any memory. Find a separate you. You won't be able to. Go into a memory of what you did yesterday. You'll have a vision of you. It's like a dream. Just like in your dreams, there's a vision of you. At nighttime, you have a dream. And you're kind of there as a space, almost like a camera. You're like a camera. You're seeing things. Well, where's the camera on the tripod? You look back and go, it's sort of there, but not really. It's not. It was like it was all energy, just like now. It was this here is all just energy. Energy. Open. And I say it contains the entire universe because the whole universe there's no disconnect. So then what is our purpose? In today's times, when we have so many locked in watching the movie, locked in watching the fear, locked in afraid of everything. There's something called the Maharishi effect I heard about, that there's a being that meditates in a city apartment complex, and that apartment complex was more peaceful than most others because he was meditating there. So, to be your own true being of light, does that offer something to this world? Does that bring something to this world? And of course, bringing that up then lends itself to think, well, there's a separate you, and then there's the world, and there's no truth to that. So, and I will repeat that. There's a separate you and there's a world. That's never been discovered. Matter, separate matter, has never been proven, which means there's no separate you, there's no separate world. So if this entire world is it, this presence and being is it, then by determining who you are, by honing in and being unconditional light and love, then wouldn't the entire world be then seen as unconditional love and then be vibrating as unconditional love and appear like this? And by being a separate, painful, I'm not happy person, then how is the world going to appear as painful and unhappy? When you're stressed, there's always traffic. And when you're not stressed, there's always traffic, but it's being seen through as, oh, look at this. One day I'll have a car like that. Who knows? So that's how this works. Now, if you're saying to yourself, I can only get one book, what book should I get? I think it depends on where you are. If you're at the very beginning saying, this is interesting, I like what he's saying, I'm not sure I understand it, then I would recommend probably this book here. Be As You Are, The Teachings of Ramana Maharshi. Start with that one if you're at the beginning of this. If you're in the middle, I don't know, I really like this one. This Bliss of Being is a good one. It's kind of an easy read. And then if you're advanced, which means you're 3 times more enlightened than other people. You know, you're 3 times as enlightened. I'm 3 times as enlightened. You know, you walk just a little bit above the earth. And when you sit, you don't say anything, and people go, oh, who's that? And you're like, leave me alone, I'm drinking my coffee. Basically, if you've been looking, and going, this is phenomenal. I want to see how this is affected in the rest of my life, and I want to go back into some old teachings, then I would recommend the Upanishads, which has a lot to it. So, that's a little talk on books. Let's end with some music. Bowl and flute, real simple. Thank you. Enjoy your day.